Hello everyone and welcome back. I am Hossein Fazlatpour, your presenter for today. Today's topic is Chapter 7, Part 2. Basically, we're going to talk about the grammar needed for writing cause and effect paragraphs. Good writers actually use signal words and phrases to establish cause and effect relationships and connections between main points. By doing so, they enhance the reader's comprehension and ability to grasp the overall meaning of a paragraph. The model paragraph highlights the advantages of precycling. As you read it, pay attention to sentences that begin with because, as a result, or thus. The benefits of precycling. People should consider precycling because it offers even more benefits than recycling. Every day, my decision to precycle, reduce, and reuse has positive effects on the air, water, and earth around me. First of all, because I reuse items, I produce less garbage that can pollute the environment. For example, I bring my lunch from home in a reusable container and eat with a fork that I can wash instead of a plastic one. Consequently, I add next to nothing to the trash cans at school. Second, because of my reduce and reuse lifestyle, I help to decrease the amount of air pollution caused by trucks and factories. By reducing what I use, I have fewer items to recycle. As a result, sanitation trucks have fewer recyclables to transport. In addition, factories have fewer recyclables to convert into new products. Thus, I am improving air quality. Finally, precycling improves my personal living space. I live in a small one-bedroom apartment. As a result, I have little space to collect and store glass, plastic, paper, or metal before they go to the recycling center. Thus, when I decide to leave plastic bottles in the store and read newspapers and magazines online, I am making my home a much more livable place. In conclusion, even though I know that recycling is necessary, I prefer to precycle because it is an even better way to protect my personal space and environment. Well, if you look at, for example, sentence 5, consequently, I add next to nothing to the trash cans at school. And if you look at sentence 8 and sentence 10, you can also see as a result, or 10, you can see thus. In sentence 13, you would see as a result. In sentence 14, you see thus once again. Also, notice the prefixes. Recycling means to put the product in a cycle again, in the production cycle again. But precycling means that before buying something, we're going to consider if it's environmentally friendly or sustainable or not. So those prefixes really change the meaning, precycling and recycling. Notice that as well. In Chapter 4, we discussed how to employ transition signals to construct coherent paragraphs. Coherent paragraphs feature logical sentence connections, allowing ideas to flow smoothly. Below is a chart showcasing some transition signals suitable for expressing cause and effect. It is accompanied by rules, explanation, and examples. So, let's first go to sentence connectors. Sentence connectors, which are words and phrases linking one sentence to the preceding one. Look at the example. I bring my lunch from home in a reusable container and eat with a fork that I can wash instead of a plastic one. Consequently, I add next to nothing to the trash can at the school. Sentence connectors typically appear at the beginning of the second sentence, but they can also be found in the middle or at the end of the sentence. Look at the examples. I bring my lunch from home in a reusable container and eat it with a fork that I can wash instead of a plastic one. Consequently, I add next to nothing to the trash can at school. By reducing what I use, I have fewer items to recycle. Sanitation trucks, as a result, have fewer recyclables to transport. By reducing what I use, I have fewer items to recycle. Sanitation trucks have fewer recyclables to transport as a result. So, see the differences. Sentence connectors are typically followed by a comma. Here, after thus, unfortunately, I have a problem. After thus, it should have a comma. Thus, comma, I am improving air quality. We already talked about the coordinative conjunction. As a brief review, fanboys. Fanboys is constructed as the beginning of each of the coordinative conjunctions: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. For cause and effect paragraphs, we tend to use for. For gives us cause or reason. Here, coordinating conjunctions convert two or more independent clauses into a single compound sentence. Please look at the example. I care about the environment. I precycle as much as possible. Now we have a compound sentence. I care about the environment, comma, so I precycle as much as possible. Put a comma after the first simple sentence in a compound sentence before the coordinative conjunction. And if you're typing, remember, comma, a space, and then the coordinative conjunction. Now, let's talk about subordinating conjunctions. Common subordinators are because, although, since, if, when, while, even though, unless, after, before. Here, our focus is more about the cause and effect paragraphs. So, subordinative conjunctions connect an independent clause with a dependent clause in a complex sentence. We already discussed about it. You can check previous chapters for that. An independent clause stands alone and expresses a complete thought. For instance, I bring my lunch from home in reusable bags and containers is an independent clause. A dependent clause, on the other hand, cannot stand alone and expresses a partial thought. In the same example, because I can reuse the bag and container is a dependent clause. It has a partial thought. Dependent clauses can appear before or after independent clauses. For example, since items are usually transported to a recycling center by truck, comma, recycling puts some pollution into the air, is a dependent clause that comes before an independent clause. The since comes before our independent clause. Similarly, recycling puts some pollution into the air since items are usually transported to a recycling center by truck, is a dependent clause that comes after an independent clause. When a dependent clause precedes an independent clause, use a comma to separate them. So, when a dependent clause is a clause that has subordinative conjunctions, comes before. Okay, when a dependent clause precedes, means it comes before an independent clause, we use comma to separate them, and it is very important. And you can see that in the example as well, so I don't read it. There are other forms of those signals. Prepositions like because of, due to, and as a result of are used to connect nouns, noun phrases, or pronouns. They form prepositional phrases that can precede or follow independent clauses. For instance, I prefer to precycle because of the small size of my apartment. Here, because of is a preposition, and a small size of my apartment is the noun phrase it modifies. And as you know from probably chapter 1, prepositional phrases modify our noun phrase or our noun. Similarly, due to the size of my apartment, comma, I have no place to keep empty plastic bottles and cans. In this sentence, due to is the preposition and size of my apartment is the noun phrase it modifies. When a prepositional phrase precedes an independent clause, a comma is used to separate them, as I said. For example, as a result of my decision to precycle, comma, I have a green lifestyle. Here, as a result of is the preposition and my decision to precycle is the noun phrase it modifies. Another example is, I have a green lifestyle as a result of my decision to pre-cycle. So, because our prepositional phrase comes afterward, we don't need to use comma. Here, there are many practices in the book. Here is just the example practices. So, the practice asks us, combine the ideas in each pair of sentences to create a single sentence or two, make the appropriate transition signal in parentheses, capitalize the and also you need to notice the capitalization and punctuation of each sentence correctly. Rework the sentences as necessary as well. So, sunlight damages human skin. In parentheses, we have because too much sunlight is not good. So, you can pause the video and rewrite it yourself. Please give yourself time. Writing is very important. You need to write, and write to understand these concepts. My goal is to shape what's good practice or what is the foundation for the language. But you need to be the one to grasp the language yourself. So, here's the answer. Because sunlight damages human skin, too much sunlight is not good. Another one, sunlight also has positive effects. Thus, we should not completely avoid going out in the sun. Sunlight also has positive effects. Thus, we should not completely avoid going out in the sun. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. And you can journal, you can write, and writing really helps with your mental health, and it is some sort of therapeutic effect on you. So please write, journal, write, and don't worry about the grammar that way, and it will help. It will help you to brainstorm, to gather more ideas, and eventually become a better writer in English language. You finished chapter 7, and I'm so proud of you. And could you please share this video with your friends and subscribe to my channel? I really appreciate it. If you could help me grow my channel, it would be mean a world to me. I think these free educational videos can be really helpful, so I'm grateful for your support. See you in the next one.